In 1942, a Viennese psychiatrist boarded a train with his wife and his parents. He had a manuscript in his coat pocket. Years of research. His life's work. The thing he believed would change how humans understood the mind. The train arrived at Auschwitz. The manuscript was taken from him at the gates. What happened next is one of the strangest stories in the history of human thought. Because the man who lost everything inside those walls came out with something no one had ever been able to prove before. That meaning is stronger than suffering. That a human being can survive anything if they have a reason to. His name was Viktor Frankl, born in Vienna in 1905. He became a psychiatrist at a time when Freud and Adler dominated everything. Freud said the driving force of human beings was pleasure. Adler said it was power. Frankl disagreed with both of them. He believed the deepest human drive was neither pleasure nor power. It was meaning. He called his approach logotherapy, from the Greek word logos, meaning purpose. The idea was simple but radical. A person who has a why can survive almost anyhow. He spent years developing his theory, treating patients, writing, building. By 1942, the manuscript was nearly complete. Then the Nazis came for him. He was 37 years old. He had a choice. He had been offered a visa to America, a way out, safety. But his parents were still in Vienna, and Viktor Frankl could not leave them behind. He stayed. And within months, he was on a train to Auschwitz with everything he had ever loved. What happened at the gates of Auschwitz has been described many times, but Frankl noticed something no one else was recording. He watched people die, not always from starvation or cold or violence. He watched people die the moment they lost their reason to live. He saw men give away their last piece of bread. He saw men walk into the electric fence at dawn, not pushed, not forced, simply done. And he saw other men, skeletal, frostbitten, broken, survive things that should have killed them. The difference was never physical. The difference was always internal. One morning in the dark before roll call, Frankl found himself thinking about his wife. He didn't know if she was alive. He would later find out she had died in Bergen-Belsen. But in that moment, standing in the frozen dark, he felt her presence so completely that it didn't matter where she was. He understood something then, something that would become the center of everything he would later write. Everything can be taken from a man, but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. The Nazis could take his manuscript, his home, his family, his name. They gave him a number instead, 119104, but they could not take the space between stimulus and response, that fraction of a second, the lost territory. Sound familiar? Frankl survived 4 camps: Auschwitz, Kaufering, Turkheim, Dachau. He was liberated in April 1945. He weighed 40 kilograms His wife was dead, his mother was dead, his brother was dead. He returned to Vienna alone, and within 9 days, he sat down and dictated everything he had witnessed, everything he had understood, everything he had survived. The manuscript that had been taken at the gates was rewritten from memory. But it was not the same manuscript. It was deeper. Because now it wasn't theory, it was proof. The book was called Man's Search for Meaning. It has since sold over 16 million copies in 30 languages. It is one of the 10 most influential books in America according to the Library of Congress. But Frankl never cared about that. He cared about one question. The question he had been asking since before the camps. The question the camps had answered. In the most brutal way possible. What keeps a human being alive when everything else is taken? His answer was not happiness. Happiness, Frankl said, cannot be pursued directly. It arrives as a side effect of living a life that means something. His answer was not pleasure, not power, not success. His answer was this: a human being needs one thing above all else, a future to walk toward, something unfinished, someone waiting, a question only you can answer. In the camp, he would ask dying men, not how are you feeling, but what is waiting for you. A child somewhere, a book half written, a garden that needed tending, and sometimes, just sometimes, that was enough. Not to erase the suffering, not to make it fair or logical or acceptable, just enough to survive one more night. Frankl called this tragic optimism. The ability to say yes to life, even in the face of its worst. Not because life is good, but because meaning can be found, even where life is not. Viktor Frankl lived until 1997. He was 92 years old. He continued practicing psychiatry, teaching, writing, lecturing, until the very end. He was asked once, in an interview, how he had survived when so many others had not. He didn't talk about strength. He didn't talk about luck. He didn't talk about God. He said something much quieter. I knew that I still had something to give. That's it. Not I was stronger, not I was chosen, not I had more will to live. He had something unfinished, something only he could complete, and that was enough. We live in a world that sells happiness as the destination. Buy this, achieve that, feel better. Frankl spent 3 years in 4 death camps and came back with a different answer. Don't ask what you want from life. Ask what life wants from you. Find the thing that is waiting for you, even if it's small, even if it's quiet. Especially then.